You are listening to the Business Leadership Podcast with Edwin Frondozo.
Today's guest is investing in the boldest ideas on the planet before the rest of the world catches on. Tom Biegala is the co-founder of Bison Ventures, a venture capital firm that recently debuted at a $135 million fund focused on companies tackling the world's most pressing challenges, from AI-driven systems and synthetic biology to climate innovation and frontier tech. With 20 years of experience as both an engineer and investor, Tom brings rare depth across the entire startup life cycle, from lab stage breakthroughs to IPOs. Before launching Bison, Tom worked at Cascade Asset Management, managing the Gates Foundation's tech investments, held roles at Intel and Altera Group, and helped advance next-gen solar technologies at multiple university spinouts. He's also an adjunct professor of energy and sustainability at Northwestern and an advisor to Prime Coalition, where he supports catalytic climate capital. Whether it's spotting the next transformation technology or the next great blues record, Tom is always listening for what's about to break through. Welcome to the Business Leadership Podcast, Tom.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Tom, can you tell us more about Bison Ventures, the problem that you and your portfolio are looking to solve when it comes to venture capital and deep tech innovation?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to give you the full background there. So what we're trying to do at Bison is invest in some of the best and brightest entrepreneurs that are using deep technology and advanced science to solve some of the biggest problems out there in the world. So whether these are problems facing planetary health or human health or applications of AI, these are all things that we go after. And these are very technically ambitious companies that we tend to invest in. So I like to say that if it took a PhD to invent the technology, chances are it's something that we'll take a look at. And that is in, quite contrast from a lot of where Silicon Valley spends their time investing in known technologies such as enterprise software or fintech or even crypto. We tend to spend our time in areas such as biotechnology or material science or deep hardware innovation. So it's these types of companies that we're backing at the seed and Series A stage. And we think it's an absolutely massive market opportunity that a lot of venture capital investors are frankly missing because they think it's either too hard or the market opportunity is too small. But some of the world's most profitable and biggest companies nowadays are frontier technology or deep technology companies such as the NVIDIAs or TSMCs or Teslas of the world. So this is an area that we're super excited about, and there's some great entrepreneurs out there. They just need this form of early stage venture financing from folks that have been doing it for a long time, that understand the technology and understand the market opportunity. So that's what we're going after at Bison.
No, I love it. And I like the point where you differentiate yourself in terms of like that deep technology or the almost like these R&D physics or deep chemistry or all these is in. I guess when it comes to the VC world, the investing world, that's almost like too early for them because they don't see the application, right?
Yeah. In some cases, they don't understand the technology and they don't know how to due diligence it. In some cases, you don't have enough industry expertise to understand exactly how this fits within a broader ecosystem, whatever industry you might be going after. A lot of it comes down to pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is a big deal in venture capital. It's talked about a lot. And some of the best investors have fantastic pattern recognition, but they've got pattern recognition in software. And when it comes to areas like material science or biotech or hardware, they don't necessarily have that pattern recognition. And that's where we come in. We've got those lessons learned over many years investing in these sectors, seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly, hopefully investing behind the good and staying away from the ugly, but at least helping our companies navigate these types of situations that they might be facing within their verticals.
That's amazing. When it comes to this podcast mini-series that we're looking at and some of the future narrative work we did when we wrote this book is this point of view that not only founders are, but also early stage investors. So when it comes to, the vision of the world that you are hoping to create in partnership with these startups, how does your vision help solve the problems that you see aside from all the portfolio companies that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, take human biology, for example, and
Yeah.
human health. There is a whole bunch of diseases out there that
Mm-hmm.
either have very poor treatments or are not treatable whatsoever. As we think about our vision, not only are we trying to ultimately make a lot of return for our investors, but
Sure.
solve some of these problems. And by the way, these are huge problems because there are a lot of these diseases, for example, they're not treatable today or have very poor treatments. And if you can discover treatments to those diseases, such as various forms of cancer, for example, that is obviously a very valuable solution, a very valuable technology and product, and could
Mm-hmm.
result in a great return, but also has a wonderful benefit and a wonderful impact for humanity.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. And I guess, Tom, and I'm just assuming here, this is really looking into one sector when it comes to the health. And, me sitting here, you sitting here, we're all sitting here making sure we're all fit. But when it comes to like solving these scary big
Yeah.
challenges, like, how does, partnering with with Bison and in your organization really like help bring to fruition
Yeah.
some of these like audacious ideas?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you need to baby step your way into some of these audacious ideas.
Yeah.
You can't go from 1 to 1 billion over the course of a year in a seed financing round. So we work very closely with our entrepreneurs to understand what are the technical and product milestones that you have to hit within a seed round, for example. How do you think about commercial traction and getting customers excited early and often so that you can demonstrate those signs of product market fit early on in a company's life cycle and continue building investor excitement in that business and
Right.
partner excitement in that business? So we spend a lot of time helping our entrepreneurs how to essentially step your way into those big audacious goals because maybe you can be an Elon Musk and go launch some rockets into space pretty quickly. But in most cases, entrepreneurs require that baby stepping into these big audacious problems. So sometimes you got to solve a smaller problem, generate a little bit of commercial traction and revenue, eventually go after a bigger problem, and then finally you can hit that big audacious goal that you've got ahead of you. So you've got to be practical in how you go after it.
And what's interesting, I think you and I might share the same background. I'm also an engineer as well, and you're
Awesome.
an
Yeah.
engineer. So helping some of these like very creative, innovative, and imaginative, technical, scientific people with background, sometimes they don't see those baby steps, right?
That's right.
So I mean, this is more curiosity for me, as you work with this and understanding, and of course you come from the different side of the fence now. But what are some of those challenges working with some of these founders?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if you have a very scientific founder, they have developed something that's very unique, IP protected. It's kind of their baby, right? And they have an idea of how it's going to solve a big problem. But once you start doing customer discovery, once you start understanding what the problems of the customer are, you sometimes realize that maybe that initial invention or creation isn't the best tool to solve that problem. And you have to pivot your technology or modify your technology. But it's hard sometimes for a scientist who invented that
and they don't want to hear it from
magical jewel. They don't want to hear it. Exactly. That's right.
They want to hear it. They're asking you, what do you know, Tom?
So that's a very interesting point. I tell people all the time, my opinion doesn't matter. Go talk to a customer. The customer's opinion is what matters, and the customer problem is what you should be solving. Don't listen to me. Listen to the customer.
That's right. So, I mean, I just wanted to put it into the context of like coming from that statement, what we're talking about, working with this. What does the future of these said to be partners, founders that you work with, like how does this, how the way you look at this, the world, audacious goals, how does it really help them thinking about, collaborating, working with Bison?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, we like to get involved in a way that hopefully makes everyone more successful. So hopefully the founders are more successful. Exactly. And that's good for us.
Yeah.
It's good for the employees of these companies. It's good for their investors. It's good for our investors. It's good, hopefully, for humanity long term. So ultimately, we try to get these companies on a trajectory that's going to get them to success. And, this is startup investing after all. So not every company is going to be successful.
Sure.
There's going to be companies that don't make it. But if we can increase that probability of success, we're doing our jobs well.
And really, I guess partnering with these founders or these these portfolio clients, and so they understand what it means to work with Bison and what it really means to like, hey, it's a trust.
That's right.
Both
it's
of us.
It's a long-term relationship. That's for sure. It could be a 10-year relationship. It could be a longer relationship.
It could be worse than marriage. We don't know. I guess just coming back to, Tom, yourself as you not only are passionate about investment, return, but when I want you to describe what this future looks like through Bison and what you're doing, what does that world look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a world that I'm thinking maybe 10 years out, maybe 20 years out, where human lifespans are longer than what we have today, where humans are living healthier later into their 80s and 90s through some of the innovations that are already in process. And of course, some of the innovations that we and our peers back as we think about other areas of technology or things like climate, for example, spurring that energy transition in an economic way that doesn't make cost of energy, for example, higher for everyone. That's a big goal of things like energy transition investing that we're doing. And then on the, kind of broader technology side and AI side, I very much view AI as a very important tool going forward. But it's one that makes us all more productive, hopefully makes our working lives a little bit easier, our personal lives a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I don't think we're entering the singularity anytime soon here, nor do I think AI is all of a sudden going to replace a whole bunch of jobs and eliminate jobs. Instead, I think, especially in the near term, it's going to be more of a productivity enhancement tool, which I think is good for everyone. Longer term, who knows? I'm not, a futurologist here where I can predict 50 years out, but certainly within the next 10 years or so, I think AI has got some great productivity enhancement features that will make our lives a lot easier and better, hopefully.
100%. Tom, I guess before we wrap up, I'd love it if you could share some final thoughts, advice, and I'll allow you to take it wherever you want to go, whether it's to, fellow colleagues within the VC world, how do you help with them, or to the folks that you're looking to collaborate with, and what type of advice you want to give them and share with them.
Absolutely. I would say be bold, be contrarian, go after those big problems that need to be solved, but figure out how to make them tractable, figure out how to practically approach those problems and eventually solve them, because a startup can only accomplish so much, and sometimes you kind of have to baby step your way into those big problems. So always think about the near term as well as the long term, but don't lose sight of that big vision ultimately, because it's those big contrarian bets that I think are going to have those massive impacts that I've mentioned throughout our chat here.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I guess a question that just popped in my head.
Yeah.
Since you came up to Web Summit Vancouver, first one, are there any specific startups that are exhibiting that you're looking to meet or hopefully meet? Or you really came to see, or is there anyone that you're really like, hey, Edwin, you need to check these guys out?
I have to spend a little bit more time on that, frankly, but I would say anyone innovating in the climate space, doing big, bold things we're interested in, looking at that next frontier of AI is something that we're super excited about, and seeing what's kind of around the corner on the biotech and tech bio side. So can you use AI in a more effective way to bring drugs to market faster, cheaper, better, et cetera? Those are all things that we're looking for. And needless to say, I'm sure there's plenty of companies out there doing that at Web Summit. So I'm going to spend my time mingling in the crowd and see what I can find.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us on the Business Leadership Podcast.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
You are listening to the Business Leadership Podcast with Edwin Frondozo.